It all started when Mr. Muldoon had a premonition that a disaster was going to befall him. The next week, his tractor just blew up midfield, even though Eddie and I had overhauled it only the night before. Mr. Muldoon made the mistake of thinking that was the disaster. But then his mother-in-law moved in with them. Her name was Goomba, and she was the disaster. She was the most cantankerous, cranky old woman I'd ever had the misfortune to encounter. She was so ornery that later the troll would gleefully adopt her as a mentor. To make matters worse, Mr. Muldoon came up with the idea that the whole family should go off up into the mountains to pick huckleberries to sell to supplement the meager farm income. Of course, this sounded wonderful to me. I mean, spending time up in the mountains with crazy Eddie was my idea of heaven. So, of course, I asked Mr. Muldoon if I could go along. Mr. Muldoon, I've got two good hands. I can pick huckleberries just as good as anybody. Can I come along, please? No. I took that to mean come on along. But I still had one major problem. My mom wouldn't let me take any of our good blankets off up into the mountains. We only had one ratty old one. It was getting too cold for that, so I guessed I couldn't go. That's when Graham said she had this tucked away in a trunk for 20 years or more. She said I could borrow it. She said it was nice and warm and cozy, and unlike other sleeping bags, you could stick your feet out the bottom of it and take off running. For which the need occurred regularly for Eddie and me. I told her flat out I couldn't wear a woman's fur coat. Mr. Muldoon would tease me unmercifully and laugh himself sick. But I decided to try it out one night in the backyard, and I'm glad I did. Not only did I discover that this coat was warm and cozy, and for a sleeping bag, it possessed excellent acceleration. But also it gave me supernatural powers. Oh, yes, it did. Now, I was outside that night in the coat, and my crotchety old dog Strange chooses that moment to come in from a night of carousing. I stand up in the coat and I say, quite simply, "Hi, Strange!" That dog levitated 17 feet straight up in the air. His paws running like crazy. Of course, he couldn't get any traction way up there in the air. But when he hit the ground, he dug a rut halfway across the yard. I wanted to make sure this wasn't just a fluke. So I tiptoed in the house. And I shook Mom awake. "Hi, Mom!" She levitated too. Took off for that ceiling in record time. Although, of course, I only had the dog to compare her with. And then she just hung there upside down, staring at me bat-like. I decided it might be a good idea to let her sleep in. And I took the coat and the one old blanket and I put them in a gunny sack and made my way over to the Muldoons for the long drive up into the mountains. I had it all figured out. This was not going to be difficult. All I had to do was wait until that evening when everyone was asleep, and then I'd get the coat out of the gunny sack, sleep nice and warm in it, and all I had to remember was to get up before anybody else woke up. Put the coat back in the gunny sack. That way no one would see me in a woman's fur coat. I'd like to tell you that that ride up into the mountains was one of the high points of my childhood. But I'd be lying. The entire trip, Goomba did nothing but complain at Mr. Muldoon. Herbert. Herbert. Stupidest idea you ever had, Herbert. Taking us up into the mountains where it ain't safe. Probably gonna get us all killed, Herbert. Killed. Goomba, don't start on me, not this morning. Nobody's gonna get killed, the mountains are perfectly safe. What about bears, Herbert? You ever think about bears? Probably all gonna get et by bears. Et. Goomba, nobody's gonna get et. Try and remember, won't you, that bears are a whole lot more afraid of us than we are of them. This was not true in my case. We finally reached that campsite that afternoon. Oh, I was so nervous about bears and mountain lions that we kept swiveling our heads around watching for the first signs of attack. Later, evening fell. You didn't know that about Idaho, did you? Mr. Muldoon spread out some hay tarps over some poles, and we all lay down underneath them to go to bed. Now, there was Mr. Muldoon over here, and Mrs. Muldoon, and then Eddie, and then me, and then Goomba. Now, what I did was I took the old blanket out of the gunny sack, and I crawled under it, and I told Mrs. Muldoon that I slept warm, but I had other blankets, and I pointed to the bulge that was the coat. If it got too cold, she bought it. Eddie and I, we slept in our clothes, of course, tennis shoes and all, but we noticed that Mr. Muldoon stripped down to his long red underwear. Mrs. Muldoon had on a nightgown that was flannel, thick woolen socks. I waited until I could hear all of the Muldoons sound asleep, snoring. And then I waited 15 minutes more, studying the moonlit darkness for shapes of bears and mountain lions. I didn't see but half a dozen. Then I felt mosquitoes freezing to death on my face. So I figured the time had come. I reached into that gunny sack. Oh boy, I put that coat on as fast as I could, and almost at once, I was toasty warm. Ha! This was going to work out just fine. Oh, of course, all I had to remember now was to get the coat back in the gunny sack before anybody woke up the next morning. Later, I was to realize this was the least of my worries. Just as I drifted off to sleep, I heard Goomba next to me. She was muttering. What's that? Bear's got me. I see bear. Bear got me. Well, she was obviously having a nightmare. But she was getting quite loud, and I didn't want her to wake up the rest of the Muldoons, not now that I had the coat on, so I reached over and gave her a gentle shake. But her nightmare just got worse. This was getting out of hand, so I stood up and grabbed her by the shoulders. Just then, everybody woke up. Go back to sleep, Goomba. You're just having a nightmare. Ain't no bears in my camp. Yes, there is, Pa. I see a bear. It looks like it's over by Pat. Oh, I should have known it. Why would a bear settle for a scrawny old woman when it could have a tender young boy like me? I lunged towards Eddie, trying to escape that bear. Eddie, help me! Pa, the bear's eating Pat! Mr. Muldoon leapt up, spat out a bad word, and knocked the tarps down on top of us. Then he went over to the stump where he kept the axe. At least now we'd have a weapon to defend us from that bear. Help me, Mr. Muldoon, help me! But when he saw me and that bear, he dropped the axe, spat out the bad word, and took off running. His knees buckling every few steps. I ran after him. Wait for me, Mr. Muldoon. Watch out, Pa, the bear's right behind you. That must mean it was almost on top of me. Mr. Muldoon scrambled up a skinny little tree. Wait for me, Mr. Muldoon. But when he saw me and the bear, he sprang from that tree, yelled out the bad word, and took off running again, knowing he was now the only adult around who could save me. I followed. We ran up and down hills, through brush, in and out of creeks, which turned out to be fairly fortunate because every time I lost sight of Mr. Muldoon, I could just follow the scent of the skunk. I'm running out of energy real fast, but I see in the moonlight the seat flap of his long underwear has come undone, and it is snapping in the breeze. If I can just grab that flap, Mr. Muldoon can tow me along behind him. I run, I jump, and I grab that flap. Everything goes black. When I open my eyes, Mr. Muldoon and the bear are gone. A branch must have hit me in the head or something. Bear must have jumped right over me to get at him. And then I think, no, this can't be true. I must be dreaming. But I see, clutched in my right hand, the seat flap of a pair of long underwear. I walk all the way back to camp. No one's there. It's kind of fortunate, too. Gives me the opportunity to take off the coat, fold it up, and put it back in the gunny sack. That way I can be pretty darn sure that no one has seen me in a woman's fur coat. Eddie, Goomba, Mrs. Muldoon are all locked in the car, peering out the windshield. Mrs. Muldoon sees me and is happy to see I'm alive, but she's quite concerned. Patrick, child, it's good you're healthy. But by any chance, did you see anything of Mr. Muldoon? I saw quite a lot of Mr. Muldoon.